There's a sudden market crash in the entire stock markets around the world, beginning with America that lost about $5 trillion last week, and the crash continues up till today. International markets have also followed suit, and the Japanese market, the Chinese market, of course, even the European markets are all experiencing what has become a tariff war market crash. Now, it reminds me of what Donald Trump said about tariffs during his presidential campaigns before the elections. He said that tariffs are taxes on a country. Listen to this.
A tariff is a tax on a foreign country. That's the way it is, whether you like it or not. A lot of people like to say, oh, it's a tax on us. No. It's a tax on a foreign country. It's a tax on a country that's ripping us off and stealing our jobs.
And so what is the result of all of this? Suddenly, stock market crashes, investors losing billions up till now. Can I tell you this? The truth is that statement of the President of America was actually in error. Why? Because tariffs are not taxes paid by nations that do trade business with the United States. Tariffs are actually paid by the importers themselves. For example, an American company imports goods from China. Those tariffs are import duties levied on those goods. And the fact is, it is the importer that pays the tariffs, not the Chinese government. So the American business owner pays from his pocket, and as usual, he will distribute that cost of the extra tariff being charged on the customers. So eventually, it is the American people who end up paying these tariffs. I'll give you a clear instance. Here in Nigeria, we have importers of things like furniture, importers of things like hair extension and all of those things, solar panels and solar accessories from China. When they import those items from China and there is an import duty or tariff on those goods coming from China, the importer, for instance, Obinna, will have to pay those tariffs through the customs. Customs will receive those charges from him on behalf of the government, and then he will carry his goods. But you know what? On top of the profit he's supposed to make, Obinna will now distribute the cost of importing those things in the form of tariffs as well on those goods. So in the end, you love furniture from China, you love solar panels from China. Well, you, fellow Nigerian, are going to be the one to pay those extra charges because Obinna must protect his profits in the business that he does. So in the end, the ordinary American citizen ends up being taxed, whereas the president, in that statement during his campaigns, thought he was taxing those nations. Well, it's not a bad thing to decide to find a way to discourage imports into your country, but somehow you should have found a way to first encourage local manufacturers to begin production. Give them some time before you implement this. For me, I think it's quite hasty, and now stock prices are crashing. For those of us who are used to this, it is time again to find bargain prices for very good stocks. And that is why the best action now is to stand aside and watch until the stocks in the international markets bottom out. And then you go in with whatever you have to collect good stocks at very good prices. The point is, these things are cyclical. COVID happened 2020. Between 3 years or 5 years, you have another market cycle. So after COVID, 2019, 2020, by 2022, we had the Russia-Ukraine war, which eventually led to another market sell-off, especially in the international markets. And just after the market began to recover in 2023 and last year, 2024, we have had this tariff war coming from nowhere. For those of us who already know what this entails, it's another time to buy stocks at very good discounts. And then you wait until the market recovers. In any case, this decision by Trump will eventually lead to many other economic challenges like inflation, because when the cost of these goods that have been imported afresh based on these tariffs are sold to the public, they become inflated in price because they become more expensive. And in the end, these American companies that import things like um, phones from China, because the iPhone, for instance, manufactures their phones in China. You have the likes of steel being imported to, manufacture automobiles in the United States. They come from either Mexico or Canada. In the end, these American goods will become more expensive, and therefore people will buy less. Now, the companies will experience lower revenue generation, and in the end, the company will also want to protect its profit, and so it will lead to job cuts. So people will lose jobs because the companies must survive. When the cost is getting too much, one of the easiest things they do is lay off staff. So you have issues of inflation, job losses, which could eventually altogether snowball into a recession. So it's a very delicate situation unless Donald Trump decides to maybe go into negotiations with these countries. And if he does that, then the market may soon recover faster than anyone thought. What's your take? Let me see in the comment section. Like, share, and keep following.